It's a collaboration. I think that's putting it too far.
No, you wrote the novel.
Based on this, right?
Indeed.
That's putting it too far. No, you wrote the novel based on this, right? Indeed. Yeah, Berserker for years. Keanu Reeves kept his darkest struggles hidden now as his body breaks down from decades of stunts. He's facing an impossible choice. About John Wick 5, but behind the scenes, a more painful story emerges: the death of his best friend River Phoenix, the loss of his baby daughter, and the tragic accident that took away the love of his life. Today we reveal why Hollywood's kindest star has been silently suffering all along. Keanu Reeves was born on September 2nd, 1964 in Beirut, Lebanon. His mother, Patricia Taylor, was an English costume designer. His father, Samuel Reeves, was a Hawaiian Chinese geologist. They met in Beirut while his father was working and his mother was performing. The name Keanu comes from Hawaiian and means cool breeze over the mountains. From the start, Keanu's life was full of movement. His family never stayed in one place for long. When he was 2, his parents divorced. His father left and his mother had to raise him and his younger sister, Kim, on her own. It wasn't easy. His father had his own struggles. He got involved in drugs and was arrested for selling heroin at an airport in Hawaii. Keanu saw him for the last time when he was 13. That was their final meeting. After that, his father disappeared from his life. His mother worked hard to support the family. Her job in the entertainment industry brought creativity into Keanu's world, but it also meant constant change. She remarried multiple times. Every new marriage meant a new home in a new city. They moved to Sydney, then to New York, and finally to Toronto. Keanu had to adjust to new schools, new people, and a different way of life. Every time they packed up and left, Toronto became the closest thing to a home. But even there, life didn't settle down. His mother's second husband was a stage and film director, but their marriage lasted only a year. She married again, this time to a rock promoter. That didn't last either. Later she married a hairdresser. Keanu went through it all, watching his mother try to build a stable life, but nothing stayed the same for long. School was another challenge. He attended 4 different high schools in 5 years. Dyslexia made it hard for him to keep up with reading. He struggled with the structure of traditional schooling and was eventually expelled, but he had other interests that mattered more. Hockey became his escape. Keanu Reeves grew up in Toronto, where hockey was more than just a sport. It was part of life. From an early age he showed real talent on the ice. He was so good that he considered trying out for the Windsor Spitfires in the Ontario Hockey League, a big step toward a professional career. But things didn't go as planned. A serious injury ended his dreams and forced him to find a new path. Losing hockey was painful, but it led him to something unexpected: acting. His childhood had already prepared him for change. After his parents divorced, his family moved around a lot. His mother worked as a costume designer, taking jobs in different places, so Keanu had to adjust to new schools and new surroundings all the time. That constant shift may have helped him build the resilience he would later need in Hollywood. By the time he was 17, he made a bold choice. He dropped out of high school to focus on acting. Leaving hockey behind wasn't easy, but it turned out to be the best decision of his life. Even though his hockey career ended, he carried the lessons with him: the discipline, the teamwork, the ability to push through challenges. He took all of it into acting. He never lost his love for the game either. To this day he still plays for fun whenever he gets the chance. His first real step into acting came in 1984 with a small role in the Canadian TV series Hanging, and it was a comedy that aired on CBC, and while it wasn't a breakthrough, it was a start. Around the same time he landed a Coca-Cola commercial, one of his first. Big on camera. Juliet at the Leah Pusen Theatre in North York Classical Theatre was a challenge, but it gave him a deeper understanding of acting between TV roles, commercials, and stage performances. He was building a strong foundation for his career. During this time he even thought about changing his name. He worried that Keanu Reeves sounded too unusual and might make it harder to land roles, but in the end he decided to stick with it. That choice reflected something important. He wasn't going to change who he was, just a fit, and his career took a serious turn in 1986 when he landed a role in River's Edge, a dark crime drama that premiered at the Toronto International Film Festival. The story followed a group of teenagers dealing with the aftermath of a murder. Reeves played Matt, a conflicted friend of the killer. He wasn't the lead, but his performance stood out. It showed depth and subtlety, proving that he could handle serious material. 2 years later he took on his first major lead role in Permanent Record. The film tackled heavy themes like teenage suicide and grief. Reeves played Chris Town in a team struggling with the sudden loss of his best friend. It was an emotional role, and he handled it with honesty and vulnerability. His performance made an impact. Critics saw that he wasn't just another young actor playing troubled teens. He had real talent. These two films helped him break into Hollywood, but the role that changed everything came in 1989. Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure turned him into a household name. The sci-fi comedy followed two high schoolers, Bill S. Preston Eskinder, played by Alex Winter, and Ted Theodore Logan, played by Reeves, as they traveled through time, meeting historical figures to pass their history class. Reeves was one of the first actors to audition for Head, and his chemistry with Winter was immediate. They bonded over their shared love of bass guitars and motorcycles, and their connection made the characters feel real. Nobody expected the movie to be a huge success, but audiences loved it. Made on a $10 million budget, it pulled in $40 million at the box office and became a cult classic. Reeves's portrayal of Ted, with his laid-back attitude and catchphrases like "whoa" and "excellent," became iconic almost overnight. He became a star. The success of Bill and Ted led to a sequel, Bill and Ted's Bogus Journey. In 1991, the franchise even spawned an animated series, Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventures, which aired from 1990 to 1991. But with success came a challenge. Many people started seeing him only as Ted, a goofy, clueless teen. Some critics questioned whether he could take on more serious roles. That stereotype followed him for years, but Reeves wasn't the type to let other people define him. He was just getting started. Bigger roles were on the horizon when Point Break came out. On July 12, 1991, Reeves was still best known for playing Ted in Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure, but this film showed a completely different side of him. He played Johnny Utah, an FBI agent who goes undercover to catch a gang of bank robbers. These weren't ordinary criminals. They were surfers led by the charismatic Bod, played by Patrick Swayze. Johnny was supposed to take them down, but he found himself drawn to their way of life. That tension made the movie more than just an action film. It had heart. The chemistry between Reeves and CCE was electric, and the action scenes kept audiences on edge. Point Break made over $83 million worldwide and proved Reeves could lead an action movie. 3 years later, Speed took his career to the next level. Released on June 10, 1994, the film followed Jack Traven, a cop who had to stop a bomb from exploding on a bus if the speed dropped below 50 miles per hour. The bus would detonate. The concept was simple but intense. Reeves played Jack with a calm determination that made him a believable hero. His chemistry with Sandra Bullock, who played a passenger forced to drive the bus, added warmth to the non-stop action. The film became one of the highest-grossing movies of the year, making over $350 million. Reeves was now a bankable action star, with Speed being such a massive hit. A sequel seemed inevitable, but Reeves surprised everyone. He turned down Speed 2 Cruise Control, even though it would have been an easy paycheck. Instead, he wanted to take risks and explore self-discovery. Critics praised Reeves for his depth and authenticity. He wasn't just an action star, he could handle complex dramatic roles too, but not every risk paid off. In the mid-90s, Reeves faced a few career setbacks. Johnny Mnemonic, released in 1995, was supposed to be a hit. It was based on a story by William Gibson and had a cyberpunk setting that seemed ahead of its time, but the film didn't connect with audiences and made only $17 million worldwide, far below expectations. Another misstep was Chain Reaction in 1996, which also struggled at the box office. These films made people question whether Reeves could carry a movie outside of action hits. Then came the Matrix in 1999. This film didn't just revive Reeves's career, it changed cinema. Directed by the Wachowski, The Matrix introduced audiences to a world where reality was an illusion controlled by machines. Reeves played Neo, a hacker who discovered the truth and became humanity's last hope. The film's special effects, including the now iconic bullet time sequences, were groundbreaking, but it wasn't just about the visuals. The story asked deep questions about reality, fate, and free will. Reeves didn't just act in The Matrix, he committed to it fully. He trained in martial arts for months, learning Weir and Kung Fu to perform his own stunts. His dedication made the action feel real. The film was a massive success, earning over $463 million worldwide. Neo became one of the most recognizable characters in movie history. The success of The Matrix led to 2 sequels in 2003, The Matrix Reloaded and The Matrix Revolutions. Reeves was now more than just an action star, he was a global icon. The film's influence stretched beyond Hollywood. Its themes and imagery appeared in music, fashion, and even philosophy discussions. Reeves's portrayal of Neo made him the face of the franchise and one of the most beloved actors of his generation. Years later, in 2021, Reeves returned to the franchise with The Matrix Resurrections. By then, he had built a reputation for being more than just an actor. He was known for his kindness, humility, and dedication to his craft. Keanu Reeves was at a low point before John Wick came out in 2014. He was famous, but his career had slowed down. Some of his recent movies hadn't done well, and Hollywood wasn't giving him the same opportunities. It felt like his time as a leading man was fading. But then came a film that changed everything. John Wick wasn't just another action movie, it was a story about loss, revenge, and a man with nothing left to lose. Reeves played a retired hitman who went on a killing spree after criminals stole his car and killed his dog, a final gift from his late wife. The story was simple, but it had something different. The action was intense, and the world had created was unlike anything seen before. Getting the movie made wasn't easy. The directors Chad Stahelski and David Leitch had never directed a film before. Studios weren't convinced Reeves could still carry an action movie, but Lionsgate took a chance and bought the rights just 2 months before release. The marketing played a huge role in turning the film into an event. The trailers made it clear This wasn't just another generic action movie, it had style, precision, and Keanu Reeves in a role that fit him perfectly. The film premiered in New York on October 13, 2014. Reeves walked the red carpet with Andy the puppy that played his dog in the film. A week later, John Wick opened in theaters across the U.S. No one expected much. Analysts predicted it would make around 7 to 10 million in its first weekend. Instead, it pulled in 14.4 million. IMAX screenings alone made up $2.5 million of that. It wasn't a record-breaking number, but for an R-rated action movie with a modest budget, it was a huge win. Critics loved it. They praised its clean action scenes, its world-building, and Reeves's performance. But it wasn't just critics. Audiences connected with the movie in a way no one had predicted. The underground world of assassins with its secret rules and codes made it feel different from anything else in theaters, and Reeves brought a quiet intensity to John Wick that made the character just as hard. She broke 3 ribs while preparing for her role, but refused to quit. Her fight scenes became some of the most memorable in the series, proving that the actors weren't just pretending to be action stars, they were actually doing it. The first John Wick movie made $86 million worldwide on a budget of around $20 to $30 million. The sequel more than doubled that, pulling in $171 million. Then came John Wick Chapter 3, which exploded to $326 million. But the biggest surprise came with John Wick Chapter 4. It crossed $440 million, making it one of the highest grossing action franchises of all time. Keanu Reeves has spent decades pushing his body to the limit. From The Matrix to John Wick, he has trained endlessly, performed his own stunts, and taken hit after hit to bring his characters to life. But now at 60, his body is starting to push back. In a recent interview, he admitted something fans weren't expecting. His heart still wants to play John Wick, but his knees might not let him. You can never say never, he said. My knees right now are saying I can't do another John Wick, so my heart does, but I don't know if my knees can do it. After years of intense fight scenes and brutal action sequences, even someone as dedicated as Reeves has his limits. This raises big questions about the future of John Wick 5. The franchise has redefined action movies with its stunning choreography and relentless energy. But if Reeves can't handle the same level of punishment, what happens next? Could the series slow down, or would it even make sense without him? He hasn't ruled anything out, but his hesitation is clear. Even if a 5th film remains uncertain, Reeves isn't walking away from the John Wick universe just yet. He has already filmed a cameo for Ballerina, a spin-off starring Ana de Armas. The film is set to release in 2025, keeping Reeves tied to the world he helped create. It won't be the full John Wick experience fans are used to, but it's still something. Keanu Reeves has been through more loss than most people can imagine. Behind his calm presence is a man who has faced heartbreak again and again. One of the most devastating moments of his life came in 1993 when he lost his best friend River Phoenix to a drug overdose. The two had grown close while filming My Own Private Idaho in 1991. That movie didn't just showcase their acting skills, it created a deep bond between them. River was only 23 when he died that night. River was at the Viper Room, a club in West Hollywood. He was supposed to perform with the band P, which included Flea and John Fandy from the Red Hot Chili Peppers. It should have been a night of music and fun, but River had been on a dangerous drug binge. He had mixed heroin and cocaine and hadn't slept for days. At some point he Started feeling sick as the night went. Things got worse. He walked outside the club and collapsed on the sidewalk. His body started convulsing. His brother Hen called. The middle of a busy city he stays. Grounded. He has been spotted many times. Riding the subway not as a celebrity but just another passenger. He has given up his seat for elderly riders and pregnant women without hesitation. He doesn't see himself as different from anyone else. That humility is what makes him stand out. His generosity extends to the people he works with too. During the Matrix sequels he made a decision that shocked Hollywood. He gave up a huge portion of his earnings, reportedly around $75 million, so the special effects and costume teams could be paid more. He knew they were the ones who made the film what it was, and he wanted them to be rewarded for their work, and that wasn't the only time. After The Matrix became a massive hit, he gave nearly $1 million of his own paycheck to each of the visual effects and post-production crew members. These were people who usually never saw bonuses, no matter how successful a film was. Reeves made sure they did. He has also taken pay cuts in other movies just to make sure important actors or crew members could be hired. Keanu Reeves doesn't talk much about the things he does for others, but the stories are everywhere. He helps because he wants to, not because he has to. In a world where fame often changes people, he has remained the same. As kindness isn't for